let's meet our award-winning What's My Line panel. First, the popular columnist whose voice of Broadway appears in the New York Journal-American and papers coast to coast, Miss Dorothy Kilgallen.
And on my left this evening is a gentleman who... No, I think I'll start another way. If you've been reading the bestseller list recently, you know that a book appears on those lists called Treadmill to Oblivion. It's a very entertaining book, and the gentleman who wrote it is here tonight, Mr. Fred Allen.
Thank you, Dorothy. And on my left, ladies and gentlemen, a young lady who misplaced her Scrabble set this afternoon and who may be at a loss for words tonight, Miss Arlene Francis.
That's true, with or without Scrabble. On my left, a chap, let me say he is our supposedly sophisticated and blasé Random House publisher, panelist, who has come back from the West raving and starry-eyed about 16-year-old girls at the Elgin Academy. Are they that wonderful, Bennett, sir?
You'd make a fine head mistress, Arlene. Well, 2 years ago, a lot of you folks who are watching this show will remember that we had Ed Murrow as a mystery guest on this program. And he and our moderator told you about a memorial they were raising funds for in memory of all the war correspondents who had lost their lives in pursuit of their duty. Well, they've gotten all the money together, and tomorrow night, that memorial is going to be dedicated in a monster all-star television show called Dateline. And I guess that's why our moderator looks so happy tonight. Here he is, John Charles Daly.
Thank you, Bennett. Actually, it's a good reason to be happy. And good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to What's My Line. Once again tonight, we're up to our old tricks. We have some interesting occupations which are attached to some very nice people, which nice people we trust will give the panel a bit of trouble. And I think they're going to do it. We'll also have a famous guest challenger before the panel a bit later on. And now it's time for these experts to meet the first challenger whose job has to be spotted. So we see Nash. Right, sir? Now, I don't want to press you too hard, but we got to know what one of those C's stands for anyway. Which one do you want to give us?
Charles.
Charles? Charles C. Nash, is it?
C. Charles.
C. Charles. C. Charles Nash. Fine. Where are you from, Mr. Nash?
Glendale, California.
Well, you have come a long way. I must say it's nice of you to come so far.
Had a nice flight.
Well, I feel something like a cad making you walk at all now, but you've got to walk over here so the panel can see a better look. Get a better look at you.
Any relation of Ogden Nash, Mr. Nash?
Not quite. Nope.
Automobile Nash, Mr. Nash?
No.
Congratulations, Mr. Nash. First Nash I've ever seen come from California to New York.
All right, Mr. Nash, if you will, over here now, please, and sit down next to me. And as you may know, the panel gets one free guess as to what your line may be, and we'll give those free guesses a whirl with Miss Kilgallen.
I think that he's an additional dialogue writer for Westerns.
Mr. Allen.
Coming from California, I think Mr. Nash is Liberace's dentist.
Miss Francis.
I think he operates the best motel in Glendale.
Mr. Cerf.
He's from Burbank.
Well, the audience is jumping tonight with the members of the Society of American Chemical Engineers, and I suspect that Mr. Nash is one of them sneaked up here behind the curtains and has come out to be a challenger.
Ah, Bennett, you're a terror. And you're wrong, too. Well, now, nobody has it right, so we'll let our viewers at home have a further look at Mr. Mr. C. Charles Nash from California, and at the same time, we'll tell them what his line is. But the panel's going to have to dig. All right, Mr. Nash, you know how we score this opus. Every time you give a no answer legitimately and properly, we flip a card. 10 of these flips, and you have won the game. You all set?
Fine.
Mr. Nash is salaried. Let's begin the general questioning with Arlene Francis.
Well, Mr. Nash, you're nicely bronzed. Is that California, or do you work outdoors? Do you work outdoors,
No.
Mr. Nash?
Yes,
No, thank
one
you
down,
both.
9 to go, Mr. Cerf.
Well, Mr. Nash, living in Glendale, I wonder if you have anything to do with one of the factories that's located there.
Near.
One of the factories...
That makes something. You're no product involved in what you do?
Oh, yes.
There is a product.
Yes.
Can I sneak out of it that way, John?
We'll let you sneak
did.
out of it as long as you realize you're sneaking out of it. That's the main thing.
Is the product that you make made in California?
Yes.
Is it a useful product?
Yes.
Is it used indiscriminately by both sexes?
Yes.
It is. Would it be found in people's homes?
Yes.
Yep. We'd like to have a small conference. Actually, this is for my benefit, not Mr. Nash's. I want to get a technicality straightened out now. It has no particular reference to this question. Actually, I forgot what day of the week it is. I'll be back with you in a minute.
John is verbose tonight.
What do you mean tonight?
I just picked out one night.
Well,
Trying to talk
anytime
him into
you're
the
ready,
show
Bennett, we
tomorrow.
can sit around here all night
Well,
if
I'm
you
waiting
want
for
to.
you, John.
Waiting for me? I wasn't doing anything.
Well, that's what we're complaining about.
Mr. Nash, for this product, is there any ingredient used that is either grown or made in the state of California?
I would think we could safely say that in this product there is something grown or made in the state of California.
Has any part of this product ever been alive?
You mean going way back?
Oh, not too far back.
Let's see. You mean perambulating alive sort of thing, huh?
Well, ambulating, if not
Ambulating.
perambulating.
Well, thanks, Bennett. That
No.
makes it $2 to go. Now, I think we'd have to knock you out on the ambulating department. All right? That's $2 and 8 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
All right. Has it ever been alive standing still?
Miss Kilgallen wanted to know if it had ever been alive standing still.
No.
That's fine. $3 and 7 to go, Mr. Allen.
Is it something, did Bennett establish that it's something that is grown in California?
We answered with some reluctance affirmatively to the question, was it grown or made in California?
Can you distill that for me, John? May I say, is it something that's grown in California? Well, he should know what he does.
That's right, Mr. Nash. No, it is not grown. $4 and 6 to go, Miss Francis.
It's just made in California.
Yes.
So many people are. Is it... Is this useful, this product?
Yes.
Is it... Is it something one could hold in one's hand?
Yes, you can.
You know, within a basic term of reference, you can hold it in your hand. I'm going to say this, you're so far away from it, all of you, I don't want to discourage you.
We
You've
are
got one
far
more
away
minute.
from it? We ought to get on another field, you mean?
No, I don't mean a thing, actually. Just wanted to tell you I was going to give you another minute.
Is it ever used in studio work?
Yes.
It's used in motion picture studios?
Yes.
Is it necessary to be used in motion picture studios?
Oh, yes.
Has it any moving parts?
Yes.
Now, can I ask a question? What?
Are there several different products that you're involved with? Instead of it just being one thing, is there a variety?
Before we take you too far off the road, darling, the product we have accepted as a general product, and we are now in this identification area willing to identify a general product with which Mr. Nash may have a specific affiliation.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think so.
All right, and you can hold it in your hand, even if you wouldn't want to necessarily. All right, should we get off that whole bit? Do you think it'd be a good idea? We get into something else. Do you have anything to do, Mr. Nash, with training anything or anybody?
No.
Do you work in an advisory capacity of any kind with this?
There is a product. Well, is there anything to do with the sight or sound equipment in a studio?
Yes.
Is it one of the machines that is responsible for either recording the sound or putting the picture onto the screen?
No.
And that, I think that's the... Actually, I don't... This was a very tricky one, panel. Don't feel bad about it. It's
You
a
make
very
smog out
fascinating occupation, but I don't think you'd have gotten it if we'd given ourselves 3 days.
He's a smog maker.
What did you say?
He's a smog maker.
No, he's much more famous than that, Fred. Mr. Nash is the voice of Donald Duck at the Walt Disney Studio. And Bennett Cerf has met Mr. Nash, but we were counting on his not recognizing him,
That's a
and he
long
didn't
time
do
ago,
it.
Mr. Nash.
Those rather fabulous studios, the
Now,
Walt Disney Studios,
I'm
20,000
sorry, but
leagues.
he's got to just... We must have at least time for him to say something to us like Donald Duck. Come on.
Say just one thing. will you? Mr. Nash is one of that great combination of talents whose latest effort, I believe, is 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. The Walt Disney Studios. That's right.
Wonderful picture, too.
Oh, it's a wonderful picture, that I'm sure of. And Mr. Nash, you've been a wonderful guest, and thanks very much for being our guest. All right, panel. Let's see what you can do with another challenger. Now, would you sign in, please, sir? Bud Klein. Right, sir? That Bud a nickname, sir?
Yes.
What is your first name?
George.
George, where are you from, Mr. Klein?
Akron, Ohio.
Akron, Ohio. Well, let's not rubber it in. Now, while I go get over that terrible pun, and I get to do this sort of thing because Bennett Cerf is one of my friends, you see, and we sit around at night. Will you go down there and let Bennett Cerf and those other 3 good characters on the panel get a closer look at you, please?
Decline of those muscles on the level?
No, I mean, I'm faking the whole thing.
Let me try them then.
They're terrific.
No, they're on the level, Bennett. He just wasn't giving you the treatment. See?
All right, Mr. Klein, over here, if you will, please, sir, and sit down next to me. And the panel starts off by getting 1 free guess as to what your line may be, and we'll begin those free guesses with Miss Kilgallen.
Well, John, you're so tricky. He looks as though he ought to be a weightlifter, so I suppose he does fancy work.
Mr. Allen.
I think from Akron, Mr. Klein is a vice president in charge of slow leaks at the Goodyear Tire Company.
Miss Francis.
I think he plays pro football.
Mr. Cerf.
With those muscles, I think Mr. Klein is a man who's just split Goodyear stock 2 for 1.
No, I'm afraid nobody has it right. We'll let our viewers have a further look at Bud Klein of Akron, Ohio, and at the same time, we'll tell them what his line is. But the panel's going to have to dig. All right, Mr. Klein, you know how we score this operation? Boing, boing. Mr. Klein is self-employed. With that, we'll begin the general questioning with Dorothy Kilgallen.
Well, Mr. Klein, do people ever watch you when you do what you're doing?
Yes.
And are they either instructed or amused or entertained by what you do?
Yes.
Now, I just have to decide which. Do both men and women watch you?
Yes.
Do they ever watch you together?
Yes.
Do you move around in your work?
Yes.
Do you have anything in your hand when you're moving around?
Yes.
Would these people be in the nature of an audience?
No.
Small question.
Might be small groups and...
Talk him into it, John.
I would say this, Dorothy. Mr. Klein's inclined to agree with me that it is not entirely untoward that some people might stand by, and they would be considered an audience in a way, you know.
But you are primarily something other than an entertainer, is that correct? Do you ever do what you do to people who would rather not have you do it?
No, I don't think so, Dorothy. 1 down and 9 to go, Mr. Allen.
You do whatever it is that you... I tell you, Mr. Klein, you're only going to get $50 from John. We'll give you $60 to tell us what to do. Do you have any regular hours when you do whatever you do?
No.
You just do it whenever you feel like it, huh?
Well, now, wait a minute. Let's have a small
Self-employed.
conference.
Well, I can't remember who John was. I can't remember who he was.
I see. I think, Fred, you will understand that in the specific character of Mr. Klein's work, that we might be right in saying that they could not be considered regular hours because of the requirements laid down for the performance thereof. 2 down and 8 to go, Miss Fred.
Do you have anything to do with anything that might be considered a game?
No.
3 down and 7 to go, Mr.
Mr. Klein, does that splendid, magnificent physique of yours play some part in the work that you do?
No.
4 down and 6 to go, and I'm going to give you another 30 seconds because I don't think you're close to this one either tonight.
Do you ever work out of doors?
Yes.
Do you usually work out of doors?
Yes.
Do you do anything that requires any agility?
Yes.
Do you do work in connection with a building, with the outside of a building?
Work in connection with the outside of the building?
Mm-hmm. Any kind of a building.
Window?
Oh, I have another question if you don't like that.
Well, you know, you might say so in a way, yeah.
Do you wear something other than an ordinary business suit in your work?
Yes.
Might it be called some type of costume?
No, actually, Miss Dorothy, I don't think we can call it a costume. And just because of time, I got to flip this, although it isn't quite fair to you because you have a good many questions left. Mr. Klein is a sewer cleaner. I'm afraid his good looks and his muscles kind of just get you all off on the wrong road.
That tan. How
I
did
think
he
he
get
gets
the tan
stuck in a
down?
manhole. Did you ever get stuck in a...
Well, they got them all enlarged out in
Big
Akron just for his benefit.
We must start going into some sewers,
It
Dorothy.
must be more fun.
Well, Mr. Klein, thanks a lot. I hope you had a lot of fun. We
Thank you,
certainly
sir.
did. It's nice to have had you in What's My Line. In just a moment, we'll meet tonight's mystery guest, but first, here's Dick Stark.
I'm sure you all remember Marley's ghost in Dickens' Christmas Carol, right? Well, sir, you might be interested to know that today at Christmas time we have electronic ghosts. You just watch. Well, you got a problem, huh? I bet you're wondering what to give him for Christmas. Well, now look, how about this man-size Remington electric shaver? You just think of all the times he's wished he had a better way to shave. Like, for example, the times he scraped his tender skin shaving the old-fashioned way. The Remington electric shaver would be kind to his skin. It's so gentle it can shave the short, close fuzz off a peach without harming that tender skin. And think of the times he skipped shaving for a day or two.
John, hurry. We'll be late.
Boy, would he enjoy having the Remington then. The man-sized shaver that's powerful enough to shave the tough bristles off a brush will whisk off your man's toughest beard in a jiffy. And you will have a better-looking husband. I wish you'd stop in at your favorite store or Remington Rand Shaving Headquarters and ask for a Remington electric shaver on the 14-day free trial plan. That's good for 2 weeks after Christmas Day. You know what? You just give that man of yours a better way to shave. After all, that means a lot to a man. Tell me now, is your Christmas problem all solved? Good.
And now we come to the special feature of our program, the appearance of our mystery celebrity. My good friends and colleagues in the panel have blindfolds for all of this. Are those blindfolds all in place, panel?
Yes, sir.
Good. Will you come in, mystery challenger, and sign in, please? All right, panel. As you know, in the case of our mystery challenger, we dispense with preliminaries, get right down to the general questioning, which we will begin with Mr. Fred Allen.
It's a foolish move you've made, John. I gather from the audience's reaction that you are very well known by sight to practically everybody. Is that true?
Yes.
I gather that you are not Sophie Tucker by any chance. Tell me, are you identified with the entertainment world?
Yes.
Are you currently employed? I'm looking for another job. I haven't guessed. I went in the wrong theater tonight. I guessed the wrong theater coming in here. But are you better known, are you identified with motion pictures? Let me put it that way.
Yes.
With motion pictures.
Yes.
Are you associated with dramatic work in the motion picture field?
No.
Well, if you do comedy, occasionally it comes out sad. You have to
I'll leave that up to our guest if he would like to amend the answer and give you a qualified yes.
Well, then I'm through. I was wrong, huh?
Yes.
Are we to believe that our mystery guest has never had a serious moment? He's always been a comic, is that it? And never a bride. Do you do something apart from performing? Do you sing, ever?
Yes.
Would you be considered the kind of a comic that gets the girl?
Yes.
Is your hair thinning a little?
Yes.
I'll take a wild guess at this. Are you Bing Crosby? What happened?
No.
2 down and 8 to go, Mr. Cerf.
If my hunch is correct, Dorothy, Arlene couldn't have been more wrong if she had tried.
And I did.
Are you famous as well for movie work? Are you equally famous for radio and television appearances?
Yes.
You mean on an exactly equal equation?
No,
Bennett?
not equal equations. I would say principally in... Now, I know who it is, John. Don't throw me off. Is your name associated as much with Bing Crosby as with possibly Faith and Charity? Ow! Ow!
Yes.
And did you recently have as a guest on your television show Maurice Chevalier?
Yes.
And are you Bob Hope?
Yes.
I got to tell you something. Actually, Bob just told me something, and I think it's going to fascinate you all and also everybody at home. The Bing Crosby sign-in. You think he's ever done it before?
No. The what?
Where did you do it before?
I did it in England on What's My Line.
Isn't that
Really?
something?
I broke it in there.
That was your out of town, wasn't it?
The travelingest man you ever saw. Actually, Bennett mentioned earlier that we've got this Dateline program tomorrow night, which dedicates the memorial we've spent 3 years building. The man has come to New York, basically, to be with us on our big program on Dateline. Travelingest guy's written a book, you know, Have Tux, Will Travel, and he's always doing it. And
Is there anybody here who hasn't written a book?
Fred Allen over there
I
wrote
know.
one.
Dorothy?
Miss Dorothy?
I would have mentioned the book, but it's a Simon & Schuster publication.
All right, Bennett. Simon & Schuster published it. They know who did it. Have Tux and Will Travel. Mr. Robert, the Right Honorable Robert Hope, it's good to have you with us.
Can't tell you how happy I am to finally have the chance to appear here. I watch this show all the time, you know. And
Nice, man.
you had to bring me east for this little correspondence show so I could make it.
I'm
I'm
good
happy
to
to
have
be
you
here.
with us, Rob.
Thank you.
Thanks
Thank you,
very
John.
much.
Right.
Good to see you, Pat. And I might say now that he's gone, he's not only going to appear on our program, but he helped us a good deal in the production of it. And I think we owe him a great debt of gratitude, and we're very fond of him. We'll be back in just a moment, but first, here is a Christmas reminder.
What would she want for Christmas? How about this? The electric shaver that's made for ladies, the new Remington Duchess, a completely feminine electric shaver. It's the only shaver especially designed for legs and underarms, too. With this gift, she can throw away messy creams and old-fashioned blades. The Remington Duchess shaves gently, smoothly, safely, because it's formed to follow her form. The Duchess comes in peppermint pink or Wedgwood blue with its own elegant case. Of course she'd like one for Christmas. The perfect electric shaver for a lady. The new Remington Duchess.
Before our panel says goodnight, may I remind you to tune in again next Sunday at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, when once again we invite you to play What's My Line? For other localities, check your local listings for the date and time of our weekly series.
Yes, more and more and more and more people are switching to Stumped spray deodorant. Because Stumped, with its anti-immunity factor, is now more effective than ever. Thanks to this anti-immunity factor, when you use Stumped daily, you get full effectiveness day after day. It never lets you down like this. So switch to Stumped spray deodorant. Just one squeeze of its famous plexoplastic bottle and poof, there goes perspiration.
There's just a chance we New Yorkers may lose a resident because Dorothy has got to go back to cover the Shepherd case in Cleveland tomorrow. So once again, it's good night and good reporting, Dorothy.
Thank you, John. Good night, Fred.
Good night, Dorothy. Good night, Arlene.
Good night, Fred. Good night, Bennett.
You might be interested to know that while Dorothy's in Cleveland, her husband's show, Plain and Fancy, opens in New Haven tomorrow night. Good luck.
Thank you, Bennett.
Good night, John.
Good night, Bennett. Good night, ladies and gentlemen, and thanks for being with us on What's My Line?
Transportation for Mr. Nash was arranged through United Airlines, the nation's fastest airline, flying DC-7 mainliners from coast to coast in less than 8 hours. This has been a Mark Goodson, Bill Todman production in association with the CBS Television Network.
And on my left, the star of his own show 5 times a week on this very network, Mr. Robert Q. Lewis.
Thank you, Dorothy. To my left, one of the delights of appearing on What's My Line, another of the delights, a lady who wears her heart not on her sleeve, but on her ears and around her neck, Miss Arlene Francis.
And on my left, a gentleman whose Encyclopedia of Modern America Humor, Encyclopedia of Modern American Humor. There, you got it twice because I didn't say it quite right the first time. Anyway, it is 700 pages of the very funniest writing there is, and it is romping through the bestseller list, Mr. Bennett Cerf.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you saw John Daly masterminding all the superstars on the Overseas Press Club show, Dateline, on Monday night, you'll understand why we're so very proud of him on this show. And on Christmas Eve, you'll get a chance to see him and his family at home on Ed Murrow's Person to Person. Meanwhile, here he is to do a little panel moderating, John Charles Daly.
Thank you, Benny. Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to What's My Line. We're up to our old tricks, and I think we've got some pretty good tricks to play on the panel tonight. Time will tell, however, and a bit later on, we'll have a famous guest challenger before the panel. But to get things started, I think it's time that our experts here met our first challenger whose line has to be spotted. Will you sign in, please, Mayor?
Lily, Lisand, Wieland, is that right?
Where are you from?
I'm from Geneva, Switzerland, originally.
Geneva, Switzerland, originally? Where are you now living, residing?
I'm living in New York now.
In New York. Well, that's very nice for New York.
Thank you.
And this will be very nice for the panel, too. They would like to get a better look at you. So would you take a hike down there, please?
Miss Whelan, you're going to have a lot of conferences with Mr. Daly tonight.
We might have a little conference later.
Down, boy, down, boy.
All right, Miss Wheeland, over here, if you will, and sit down next to me. And as you may know, the panel's going to get one chance right out of the blue to tell what it is you do. So we begin those free guesses, as we call them, with Miss Kilgallen.
I think she tests mistletoe.
Wow. Mr. Lewis.
I hope she did. This girl is obviously responsible for the change in the Swiss Alps. There are no longer yodels. There are now wolf calls.
Miss Francis.
I think that Miss Whelan works at the United Nations.
Mr. Cerf.
I think Miss Whelan demonstrates the Swiss movement.
No, I'm afraid nobody has it right. We'll let our viewers at home have a further look at Miss Whelan. At the same time, we will tell them what her line is. But the panel's going to have to dig. All right. Miss Whelan, do you know how we score this operation? Every time you give them a no answer, I flip a card. 10 flips, and you've won the game. Yes, well. Miss Whelan is salaried. Let's begin the general questioning with Dorothy Kilgallen.
Miss Wheeland, are you seen by people in what you do?
Yes.
And does your beauty have any bearing on your job? Is it a help?
Yes.
No.
Well, I don't think it has.
Well, was it
any
a help in
direct-
getting the job?
Oh, now, take it away. That was a marginal area, Dorothy, but I don't think it has any direct application to the performance of the job itself. That's
I'll
one down and
register
9 to go,
my
Mr.
complaint
Lewis.
Would we be safe in assuming that you perform a service, Miss Whelan?
Yes, sir.
Is this a service that perhaps you might perform for both sexes?
No.
That's 2 down and 8 to go, Miss Francis.
Only for one sex, eh?
Oh, dear.
Well, I hope for the gentleman on the panel that your performance is for the male sex, is it?
Yes.
Now then. Do you teach them anything?
No.
Is there any instruction attached to your work? No.
No, not instruction or teaching as such. 3 down and 7 to go, Mr. Cerf.
Miss Whelan, do you work indoors most of the time?
Yes, sir.
Do you demonstrate anything?
Yes.
Could be described as demonstration, yes.
Would you say you took some product and showed people how it worked, possibly?
Yes.
Yes, could be as a sort of a general part of her duties.
Would this product be any article of household furniture?
Yes, sir.
It
Could
would.
be, yeah. I would say the service here is more important than the issue of product.
Well, does the service have anything? Do you do your service standing up?
Sometimes.
Only sometimes. Is the object that you demonstrate sometimes used possibly for reclining purposes?
We have to have a conference.
Oh, I knew that was
Only 10 seconds left, John.
You know what reclining is, John.
Wow, I feel yours younger already. We'll give you a yes on that, Mr. Cerf.
Would this be some kind, Miss Whelan, of a couch or bed or collapsible, something like that?
Wait a minute, now I got to have a conference again.
About a couch or a bed or...
Seems like the most straightforward question I've ever had.
Yeah.
I would say that there's a very broad area here from which we might choose things, but I think that in this instance we would be correct in saying that this particular kind of product would not be involved. 4 down and 6 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Well, would the entranced gentlemen on the panel, Mr. Cerf and Mr. Lewis, be ever likely to engage Miss Whelan's services?
Yes.
Sir.
Would they ever do it around Christmas time?
Yes.
Would they be particularly likely to do it around Christmas time?
Yes.
Would you ever have occasion to lead gentlemen by the hand from the nighties to the bracelets to various things that they might be interested in purchasing?
Yes.
Are you something like a gift counselor or a personal shopper or someone who takes them around the department stores?
Very good.
Miss Lily is indeed a Christmas shopper for men only at Saks Fifth Avenue, if you'd like to know, Robert, and I guess that's what...
my...
I thought you had your arm up for something.
May I tell Miss Whelan that the Random House office is just 1 block from Saks Fifth Avenue?
Now, actually, this is, of course, a Christmas job, and Miss Lily is studying acting. She's been in New York only 6 months, and she's going to be a great actress one of these days. Meantime, she's making Christmas much brighter for a great many people. Yes, Robert?
I should be delighted to trade services with Miss Whelan. If she will help me with my shopping, I should be more than happy to help her with her acting.
Oh, brother. All right, Mr. Lee says you come on in and sit down. Then you're on your own. From then on, I cut you loose. Well, Mr. Lee, thank you very much for being our guest. Hope you had fun. You were a good guest on What's My Line. All right, panel. Very good beginning. Let's see what you can do with another challenger. Would you sign in, please, ma'am? Molly Kesselman, is that right? Miss or Mrs.?
Mrs.
Mrs. Kesselman, and where are you from?
Miami, Florida.
Miami, Florida. Well, it's nice to see you up here so close to the holiday season and all, you know.
Thank you.
And would you be willing to take another small trip and let the panel get a better look at you, please?
Yes.
Thanks.
Mrs. Kesselman?
Hello, Miss Kesselman.
Hi, Miss Kesselman. Nice to see you.
All right, Mrs. Kesselman, if you'll come over here, please, and sit down next to me. We'll give the panel the standard free guess at what it is you might do, and we always begin those free guesses with Dorothy Kilgallen.
I think Mrs. Kesselman wraps gift alligators.
Gift alligators. Mr. Lewis.
I think Mrs. Kesselman designs costume jewelry.
Miss Francis.
I think Mrs. Kesselman has one of those chicken-in-the-basket restaurants in Miami.
Mr. Cerf.
I think Mrs. Kesselman is the first lady highlight player at the fronton down there.
No, I'm afraid nobody has it. We'll let our viewers at home have a further look at Mrs. Kesselman. At the same time, we'll tell them what her line is, but the panel, as usual, is going to have to dig it out. All right, Mrs. Kesselman, you know how we score, do you? Good. Mrs. Kesselman is salaried. Let's begin the general questioning with Robert Q. Lewis.
Miss Kesselman, do you perhaps perform a service?
Yes.
Is this a service that is, unlike our first guest this evening, rendered to both sexes?
Both sexes.
Would we come to you to have those services performed?
Yes.
Do you work indoors?
Yes.
Would we be relatively made happier as a result of having come in contact? We would not, would we, be made...
No.
Boing!
Not. 1 down, 9 to go, Miss Francis.
Do you, by any chance, work for a non-profit-making organization, Mrs. Kesselman?
Yes.
Would you say that you work for some arm of the law?
Yes.
Would you be associated in any way with the police division of the law?
Yes.
Would you be a lady policewoman?
No.
Not
Would
a
you be a
lady-
lady policewoman? 2 positives make a negative.
2 down and 8 to go, Mr. Sir.
Well, you're not a policewoman. Does that mean that you perform your services somewhere within the confines of a courthouse, Mrs. Kesselman?
No.
Wait a minute. Let me have a small conference.
Or jail? I'll lay it at jail.
Why, they have no jails in Miami.
Well, they ought to.
On a technicality, we're going to rule you out on that,
Oh,
old boy.
thank
It's a
you very
lovely
much.
technicality, though. 3 down and 7 to go, Miss Kilgallen. It's not a court per se.
It isn't a court per se.
No, not Passaic. This is Miami, Florida.
What did you ask, Bennett?
If she worked in a court.
In a courthouse.
And I was ruled out on technicality.
But you do work indoors.
Yes.
I may assume that you're not a traffic policeman.
No.
Yes, you may assume that
Or a
Mrs.
motorcycle policeman.
Kesselman isn't.
No. Do you work in a place where people come to have something in their fate decided?
In their face decided?
In their fate decided, in a way, yeah. Mm-hmm.
It does have something to do with discipline?
Mm-hmm.
Does it have anything to do with punishment?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Are people ever locked up where you are? Even temporarily?
Sometimes. I don't want to see her.
Are there any cells where you are?
No.
Not cells at all?
What do you
No.
call them?
Rooms.
Hotel.
Hotels are
Motel. It's a motel.
Cell tells.
Well,
now,
now,
Miss Kesselman-
you're so close to this one, I thought you'd have it now.
Excuse me, John. May I go ahead?
Yeah, I'm sorry. about
It just seems to me that we have so much here. Now, you are part of a disciplinary group that has something to do with violations of some sort, and yet you do not work in a court, so we are safe in assuming that you are not a judge or a dispenser of justice.
Yes, you're right in assuming.
Are you then, in any sense, connected with the result of the dispensation of justice? In other words, would I have to see you? Would I have to see? Can I have a conference with you? Would I have to see you so that I would fulfill the obligation I had to the judge or to the community before I could get out of where you were?
I think you'll never
Yes.
get out.
In other words, would I have to perhaps pay you some money?
Yes.
Yes.
Why did it take so long?
Well, then,
That's it.
you collect fines.
That's
Right.
right. Collect fines. Well, I must say, we can't let you come all the way from Miami and just flip 4 cards, so we'll flip a few more. Missed all but one, but that's right. Actually, Mrs. Kesselman collects traffic fines, and, you know, it's not one who makes people happy about what she does. It's good to have you up here with
Thank
us.
you. And could I just say thanks to Chief Headley, Captain Mallon, and Mr. Rickstraw for letting me come down.
Chief
Or rather,
Headley, Captain Allen, and Mr. Rickstraw, thanks have been duly offered.
Beg pardon?
How about Mr. Myers, the city?
That's Miami Beach.
That's my
Mine
please,
is
Dennis.
separate.
Thank you very much,
you're
Miss
welcome.
Kesselman. Nice to have you there. All right, in just a moment, we'll meet tonight's Miss. Now we come to the special feature of our program, the appearance of our mystery celebrity. My friends in the panel are blindfolded. The blindfolds are all in place, are they, panel?
Yes,
Good.
sir.
Will you come in, mystery challenger, and sign in, please? All right. Panel, as you know, in the case of our mystery challenger, we always get right down to the general questioning, which we will have to test the talents of Mr. Bennett Cerf with tonight.
Well, there was a lot of cheering when you came in, sir, and Willie Mays is down playing winter baseball. Can I assume that you're a denizen of the show world?
That's very possible.
Very masculine. I take it you are a gent.
Without a doubt.
Have you ever seen your face reproduced on the motion picture screen?
Occasionally I've seen it there, yes.
You have. Would you be considered of star caliber?
I thought so.
Don't you still think so, sir?
Not lately.
Not lately? Haven't you made a picture within the last year? Have you made a picture within the last year?
Exactly.
Exactly. You mean just one? Would this be a picture that is currently showing on Broadway?
They got it here someplace. I don't know where they got it, but they got it here somewhere.
Well, I know there's a big passel of stars here from No Business Like Show Business. Would this be the picture that you starred in?
I got starred in lots of pictures.
Were you in this one?
I haven't read.
I didn't get that.
I didn't read the paper.
But should you have been starred in this one? In your opinion?
In my opinion, it's possible. But your opinion is different.
Let's see. There's Dan Daly, Donald O'Connor, and Johnny Ray. Are you one of those three distinguished gents?
Well, if you put it that way, don't give me much choice. I gotta say I guess.
Well, you're not Johnny Ray, and I don't think you're Donald O'Connor, but I'm going to give you to Dorothy as a Christmas present. I pass.
Oh, stop, Bennett.
It's Jack Pearl.
Must be O'Connor.
Jack Pearl.
Oh, Daly.
It's, Bennett, if I guess this, do I have to pay you the dollar?
Sure, you guessed one already. Wait a minute, it could be Ethel Merman, you know.
Oh, no.
Well, do you dance? That isn't going to be much help, is it?
Yes.
Do you sing?
Can I pass?
All right. Are you Donald O'Connor?
No! $1.09 to go, Mr. Lewis. Well,
I dare you not to guess.
Yeah, I have no idea at all, and it is the holiday season, so I pass to Arlene.
Well, I'm going to take you for that Christmas present, even though Bennett's known all the time it's Dan Daly.
Dan Daly's right.
It's a little unfair, you know. You had the last name before you started.
You did that. But let's say,
What part of Ireland do you come from?
Down somewhere near Killarney, I
Oh, we
believe.
come from around Limerick.
Limerick? I stayed in Limerick one night when I was going over to Europe.
Oh, you did?
Yes,
No.
yes, I did
Oh,
this
isn't that interesting?
Don't get John started on his limericks. I
Oh,
warn
really?
you.
Oh, no, that's too bad. But we, actually, Bennett, you get great credit for this because everybody's talking about there's no business like show business.
That's right.
Dan, it's that much better picture because you're in it. Thanks a lot. Good to have you with us. Will you say all right to the panel? Thanks a lot.
Your impersonations were terribly good.
All right. Let's see what we can do with another challenger panel. We just have enough time to give you a real run through the ringer. Will you sign in, please, sir? Stephen C. Le Sauvage, right? We haven't got too much time, so if you will tell me where you're from.
Garden City, Long Island.
Garden City, Long Island. Now you look at the panel because we're going to dispense with the walk down. Panel, you take a look at Mr. Sauvage and you come with me, will you?
Very pleasant.
And you sit yourself right down there and we'll give the panel very quickly that free guest they've got coming to them. We'll begin the free guesses with Miss Kilgallen.
I think he's a chef.
A chef, Mr. Lewis.
I think he's with the UN, the French delegation.
With the UN?
Le Sauvage.
Miss Francis.
I think Monsieur Le Sauvage tames wild animals.
Ah, Mr. Sir.
I think Monsieur Le Sauvage has something to do with the Doubleday plant in Garden City.
No, I'm afraid nobody has it right. We'll let our viewers at home have a further look at Mr. Stephen Le Sauvage, and at the same time we'll tell them what his line is, but panel has to work. All right? You know how we score this thing, Mr. Le Sauvage?
Yes, sir.
All right, fine. Then we'll just start things rolling with the simple announcement that Mr. Le Sauvage is salaried, and suppose we start things rolling with Arlene Francis.
Monsieur, do you have you a product in your work? Is there a
Yes.
product? Is it a useful product?
Yes.
Is it found in the home?
No.
1 down and 9 to go, Mr.
Too
Sir.
big, eh?
Mr. Le Sauvage, judging by that abrupt answer, would I be correct in assuming that this product may at one time or even now be alive?
No, it is not alive.
2 down and 8 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Is it something you wouldn't want in your home on a bet?
That's
Not on a bet.
Is it bigger than a telephone booth?
Yes.
Is it other than a telephone booth?
Yes.
Is it useful?
Yes.
Is it more useful than attractive or pleasant or fun?
Sometimes I'd say.
Yes, sometimes.
Is it usually found on the ground?
Usually not.
3 down and 7 to go, Mr. Lewis.
This is a rather large product, not found in the home or on the ground.
Yes.
It's been found in another media. Is it perhaps found in the water?
Yes.
It is found in the water, and it is a pleasurable product.
Yes.
And it is a fairly large product.
Yes.
Is it self-propelled?
Yes.
Could I, is this something that I would very much someday hope to own so I can
Yes.
go fishing on it?
He would, eh? Yeah, you'd like to own
Well,
one.
then, is it a boat?
Yes.
Is it a boat? Is it a power boat? Well, what do I have to do now?
How big?
Oh, how big? Well, 35, 40-footer. You sell Chris Craft or some boat of that nature?
No.
4 down and 6 to go, Miss Francis.
You'll have a free Chris Craft. That's true. It's a power boat, and it's not a yacht, is it, of any kind?
No, it's
No,
not a
it's
yacht.
not a yacht. Yes, it is not a yacht. Mhm.
Is it a army boat of any kind?
Navy.
No.
Navy? Well, Army has boats.
Oh, actually, we've run out of time. I'm sorry, sweetie, we've run out of time. I think maybe you've got it. We'll flip all the cards, but actually, Mr. Le Sauvage is a broker. He buys and sells ocean liners.
Oh, no.
Oh! Thank you very much, sir. Very good. That's right. This is good to see. We'll be back in... Now, until next week, and I'll bet she's glad she doesn't have to go back to Cleveland anymore. It's time for me to say good night, Dorothy.
Good night, John, and may I just take a moment to tell Arlene that the only kind of boats that the Army has are dream boats.
Good night, Dorothy. Merry Christmas, incidentally, and good night, Arlene, and Merry, Merry to you all.
Thank you very much. That was nice, Dorothy. No wonder I thought of it. Good night, Bennett.
Arlene, if Mr. Le Sauvage is still in the back, I'm going to buy you the Queen Elizabeth. Good night, John.
And good night, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for being with us on What's My Line?
This has been a Mark Goodson, Bill Todman production. In association with the CBS Television Network. The Look Award for the best quiz or panel show of 1953. First, the popular...
On my left, the brilliant young humorist who is the composer and also the singer of a new hit record called How Can Santa Come to Puerto Rico, Steve Allen.
Thank you very much. And on my left, the lovely lady on Broadway, Miss Arlene Francis.
And on my left, a gentleman who has collected 500 of his best stories, and his best are pretty good, in a little bantam paperback book, and the stories are called Laughter Incorporated. Bennett, sir.
Well, on our lower left, you're going to see a man who is completely surrounded by Look magazine awards that he's won this week. One of them for our whole show, What's My Line, the other for being the best panel moderator. We now call him the man who came plaqued, Mr. John Charles Daly.
Thank you, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to What's My Line. We have some visitors, some very nice people who've come and brought some interesting occupations with them. My friends on the panel are going to have some trouble. We certainly hope so, at least, and we hope that our guests have a lot of fun and also carry home some prizes. We'll have a famous guest challenger before the experts a little bit later on, but let's get things underway now. It's time for the experts to meet our first challenger whose job has to be spotted. So would you sign in, please, ma'am? Barbara Wright? Huh? What? You nervous?
No.
No?
Not too bad.
Good. There's a career ahead of you. Anybody can come in front of a television camera and doesn't get nervous. Where are you from?
Plymouth, Michigan.
Plymouth, Michigan. Well, we haven't had anybody to come see us from Michigan for a long time. Over there, 4 people from Manhattan. They look rather formidable, but they're really nice people, and they want to know you a bit better. So will you go over and see them?
How are you?
Hi.
I think she's a travel agent.
A travel agent, Mr. Allen.
I think she designs hats.
Miss Francis.
I think she grows Christmas trees.
Mr. Sev.
I think she's the one who inspired Irving Berlin to write that song, Gee, I Wish Again I Was Back in Michigan.
No, I'm afraid not. We'll let our viewers have a further look at Mrs. Barbara Wright. At the same time, we'll tell them what her line is. The panel has to dig, Mrs. Wright, and the rules are very simple. Every time you dredge up a no answer, we'll flip one of these cards, and 10 of these flips, and you have won the game, and they have flipped, so to speak. We always give one last bit of help. Mrs. Wright is self-employed. With that, let's begin the general questioning with Dorothy Kilgallen.
Is there a product involved in what you do, Mrs. Wright? No.
No, not exactly. 1 down and 9 to go, Mr. Allen.
Do you deal in a service of any kind?
Yes.
Do your clients or customers come to you?
Yes.
Do these clients or customers have anything in common at all?
Yes.
Would I be an unusual choice? By any chance, would Dorothy or Arlene be a more likely choice? Whatever it is, Arlene seems to enjoy it more. Now, let me see. We've already established that there is no
product.
No product. You do then deal primarily with women. We've
Yes.
gotten to that point. Is your work with them in any way advisory?
Yes.
Are they comparatively young women?
No.
Not necessarily. Actually, I think in the context of the question. So, song title. 2 down and 8 to go, Miss Francis.
Well, Mrs. Wright has a very childlike face. Do children come into your line of work at all?
No.
They don't?
Small conference. We want to be very fair.
Well, that's unusual. What do you want to say?
So we'll say yes.
Uh-huh. Then, are these women involved in some way with children or babies that come to you?
Yes.
Yes, they're involved in some.
Could they be mothers at one time if they come to you?
Yes.
Do they come to you for advice about anything that has to do with motherhood?
Yes.
Does it have anything to do with the... No product, eh?
It's an end product.
How to take care of themselves in any way?
Yes.
You know that I'm going to have to pass because all that I can think of I can't very well say. And that is much more articulate.
Well, you are
Well, I'll take one more chance. Do you have anything to do with nursing?
Yes.
Oh. Are you a nurse?
Yes.
Are you a baby nurse?
No.
No, that is actually, you're very close to the exact thing. We'll give that a no. 3 down and 7 to go. Bennett.
Well, are you somebody then who takes care of the children just after they're born, maybe, when they're very young?
No.
4 down and 6 to go. Miss Kilgallen, you were so warm.
Well, I think what Arlene meant, really, or what she was on the track of, I hope, was those courses that are given for mothers to be.
Yes.
That's the one. Yes, Arlene.
I want to tell you that it's called a prenatal course, and I couldn't think of that word, and everything else I thought of wouldn't fit.
Well, actually, Mrs. Wright teaches a course for expectant mothers. She is a nurse herself.
And I work with women during delivery.
Yes.
Well, now we have all the facts, and we hope you had some fun. You have a small prize, and we do want to thank you very much for being our guest in What's My Line. Nice talking to you. All right, panel, let's see what you can do with another challenger. Would you sign in, please, ma'am? Hermina Wirtz. Miss or Mrs.?
Mrs.
Mrs. Wirtz, where are you from?
Bayfield, Wisconsin.
Bayfield, Wisconsin. Well, I must say we're doing very well up in the upper Midwest season tonight, and suppose you go and say hello to the panel, because they want to see you before you come and join me.
May I see that hand, Mrs. Wirtz?
Nice and strong.
All right, Mrs. Wirtz, will you come over here, please, and join me, and we'll let the panel have that one free guess that is their right, because they've had a chance to just meet you very briefly, and we begin the free guesses with Miss Kilgallen. Would you come in a bit?
I think she's a woodcutter.
A woodcutter. Mr. Allen.
I think she works on a dairy farm up there.
Miss Francis.
Yes, I was going to say I think she's in the cheese business in Wisconsin.
Mr. Cerf.
Well, there's only one other thing. I think they make fountain pens there in Janesville. Bet you work for a fountain pen company.
No, I'm afraid not. We'll let our viewers have a further look at Mrs. Wirtz, and at the same time, we will tell them what her line is. But, Mrs. Wirtz, the panel's going to have to work. And I dare trust you'll give them all a real rough time of it. We'll flip a card every time you give a no answer, and I'd like to lose all the feeling in this arm in the next couple of minutes. All right? Mrs. Wirtz is self-employed. Let's start the general questioning with Mr. Allen.
Is there a product connected with your work, Mrs. Wirtz?
Yes.
Is it, to get right to the point, smaller than a bread box?
Sometimes.
Sometimes. Does it come in various sizes, then?
Yes.
Is it ever found in the home?
Yes.
Can I use it?
Yes.
Thanks. Has it ever, or is it now, or will it ever be? What am I talking about? Alive?
Yes.
Which one do you think?
Let's go back to, well, let me say this. Is it now inanimate, or is it now not alive?
Is it now not alive?
Right now.
No.
Is it now not alive? Just a minute. I think we've got a little confusion about this question.
Or could you kill it? I'm dead anyway, I can see that.
Is it now not alive?
Yes.
Yes. Go on.
Oh, yeah. Is it a manufactured article in any way?
A manufactured article. 1 down and 9 to go. Miss Francis.
Just to clear this up, it is dead now, but it was once alive. Is that correct?
This is a reasonable assumption, I believe, don't you?
Yes.
I see. Was this that was ever alive? Was it a small animal of some kind?
No.
Question?
We all were at one time or another, you know.
It's true.
A monkey. What?
Twice.
We don't want to confuse you. We just
You don't want to be unfair again.
Don't want to be unfair. We just want to befuddle you sometimes.
Oh, sometimes we were an animal. Sometimes it was
Sometimes it's Sunday, you know.
Then do you perhaps deal in many different types of things? Yes. Are these things that you deal in food? Are they edible? Yes. Do you have some kind of a place or a shop or a restaurant where food would be sold or served?
No.
2 down and 8 to go, Mr. Sir.
Is your food primarily, Mrs. Wirtz, of the meat variety?
Her food?
The food that you deal in. I mean, would it be, would some of these products that you deal in be known as meat? Meat products.
Would some of these products that you deal in be known as meat?
Arlene is insists upon getting in liver words. There would be no meat products at all?
Well, this is actually, I think we'll give you a no on that, mostly because your premise is wrong. That makes it 3 down and 7 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Could you give me a synopsis of Bennett's premise, please?
He assumed something that has not yet been tangibly set down as a viable premise for discussion.
Well, I'll
taking,
just
shall
skip
we
it,
say,
please.
one very minor part of the discussion, he assumed that something existed or was in being that in fact is not in being, per se.
Shocking. Well, now, the product with which Mrs. Wirtz is involved, and not half as involved as we are, is found in the home. It has at one time or another been alive. Yes. And it is sometimes smaller than a bread box. Yes. And it's edible. But it's not meat?
To a degree, it is edible, yes.
To a degree.
There is an
Well-
edible association.
I see. But when it is found in the house, after she has done whatever it is that she does to it, is it then not edible?
After she has done what she does to it. After Mrs. Wirtz has done what she does to it and you find it in the house, it would not then, in that state and condition, bearing in mind the basic and relative association that Mrs. Wirtz has with it, be edible.
I'm glad.
That would be a no, right?
No, that would be a yes. I said, is it not edible?
Oh, that's
I was
right,
assuming
yes.
that it wasn't.
Well, we tried.
Is it still a useful product in the house?
When it's in the... Oh, yes.
Is it something that would be in view when company came to call? Yes.
It might be, yes.
Would it
In
be
this
considered
sense.
ornamental as well as useful?
Yes.
Would it be at any time furry or hairy? Yes. Would it be some article that would make the home more attractive or someone in it more attractive?
Make the home attractive or someone in it more attractive?
No.
Well, conference.
I wonder if that's it on her head.
We want to be very fair.
So it's no.
And we don't want to befuddle you. And Mrs. Wirtz has agreed that we'll give you a yes to that.
Oh, all right. Is this anything that would... Yes.
At least you women hold it does.
Well, that was going to be my next question. Now, if I had enough of it, would it keep me warm?
Yeah, if you had enough of it, it would keep you warm.
Could it ever be made into a little jacket or a stole or a coat? Yes. Well, is it some type of fur rather than hair? No.
Yes.
Will you do something to the fur or skin of animals? No.
No, that's 4 down. Actually, I'm going to give you one more minute. Steve Allen, that's 4 down and 6 to go.
Oh, dear. Then we were sort of off the track when we were talking about the edibility of this product.
That's where you went astray, so to speak, yes.
I think we spent 9 minutes astray, as I recall. Then we're talking about an article of wearing apparel. Good night, everybody.
I think you're complicating. We have come to the point where we do understand that the product in question could become part of something that might be made into what might be considered wearing apparel.
John, can we have a conference for a minute? Maybe we could wrap it up.
All right, I'll give you 20 seconds for a conference.
Maybe she's some kind of a...
She doesn't treat them afterwards.
And then makes little fur rugs.
She doesn't even make them. She sells them to somebody who does, maybe.
She makes me feel trapped.
Or maybe she is in the pheasant business.
All right, the 20 seconds are up. Steve Allen.
Good night. Is she something like a trapper?
Yes. Mrs. Wirtz is a fur trapper. Simple as that. Mrs. Wirtz, you gave him an awful rough time. I'm sorry, there's not enough prize here. Let's flip some more cards. Anybody who gives him that much trouble, we've got to flip some more cards. Thanks very much for being our guest. You tried to be All right, in just a moment, we'll meet tonight's mystery. Now we come to the special feature of our program, the appearance of our mystery celebrity. My friends in the panel are provided with blindfolds because they would recognize our guest, and the blindfolds are all in place, panel?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Good. Will you come in, Mystery Challenger, and sign in, please? As you know, in the case of our Mystery Challenger, we dispense with all the usual preliminary questioning, get right down to the basic questions, which we will begin with Mr. Bennett Cerf.
Well, we start with the usual gambit. Are you some way connected with the entertainment business?
I'm glad to ask me that question. Yes, I'm in the entertainment business.
Am I going too far in guessing that you're a male?
I presume that would be in the right direction. Yes, I'd go along with that.
Talkative fellow. Have you ever been seen within the city limits of Hollywood, California?
Yes, I have been in this place you mentioned, sir.
For the purpose of making a motion picture?
Yes, that's true. I was making a motion picture.
Have you ever also appeared on radio and television?
Both of those mediums have been associated with my career, I'm glad to tell you.
Have you been doing any television work?
Quite recently, yes, quite recently.
Would you say you had a regular show of some kind on television?
Of some kind, yes.
I feel something penetrating here. That voice of yours is not your usual voice that you use on television, is it?
No.
Would you say that your ordinary voice was a raspier sort of a voice?
I'd like not to answer that question.
Well, I'm probably a mile off, but I'm going to pursue this. Associated with?
Not very legally, no.
1 down and 9 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
More in the nature of a dramatic show.
It isn't intended to be.
2 down and 8 to go, Mr. Allen.
Have you ever seen a dream walking? Are you a comedian, even loosely speaking?
Only by the strangest construction of the term.
I think in the term as we use it, we give you 3 down and 7 to go, Miss Francis.
What's left? Do you do a news show?
Well, I'm associated with a program which does have an element such as you described, Miss Francis.
I can't get that voice at all. Do you do a news show every day?
No, just 5 days a week, not every day.
Monday through Saturday. Is it an evening news show?
No.
That's 4 down and 6 to go, Mr. Cerf.
Have you ever appeared on this particular panel?
As a member of the panel, you mean, sir?
That's what I meant.
No.
That's good.
Panel, you have something less than 3 minutes to go, and it's 5 down and 5 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
If you don't do an evening news show, but you do news, you do a morning news show.
That's good sound thinking. Yes, ma'am.
Does it have any other elements besides the news that make it noteworthy?
Yes, I think you're on the right track.
Have you ever done any other kind of a program?
Yes, I have, and am now even.
Are you ever is more generally considered entertainment than just straight news?
Yes, I go along with that.
Such things as singing and dancing and comedy bits.
All those.
And you occasionally perhaps get off a funny line yourself, even if it's rather offbeat?
Faintly, yes.
Do you wear glasses?
Yes, ma'am.
Does one of your programs, the morning one, take place at an hour that gets you up at rather an unearthly hour for most people?
You have me.
It would be awful if I asked all those questions and got yeses and had the wrong person, but are you Dave Galloway?
I think you all missed something. Another minute and Dave would have given out. This voice he was using was just about killing his throat.
I don't think we knew he was such a dialectician.
No, I didn't know he was a dialectician. I didn't know you could produce that voice tone.
I stole that from Uncle Fletcher in Vic and Sage. Remember?
Well, it was a very happy steal, I must say, and thanks very much, Dave, for coming to see us and being our guest on What's My Line. Our thanks to Dave. So unhappily, time has flown again, and we have come to the end of one of our Sunday night programs. We hope you had good fun. Until next week, this is John Daly saying good night, Dorothy.
Good night, Steve.
Good night, boys, and good night, Arlene.
Good night, boys, and good night, Bennett.
We'll get that third contestant on sometime, won't we, John? Good night, John.
Next week, I promise. And good night, ladies and gentlemen, and thanks for being with us on What's My Line.
Next week, What's My Line will again be brought to you by Remington Rand. This has been a Mark Goodson, Bill Godman production in association with the CBS Television Network.